So let me ask you. I guess kind of sticking with like that fight choreography that you were working on. You worked on the Green Hornet TV series for a little bit. Did you get to do any fight choreography with Bruce Lee?
I did not. I wanted to work with Bruce, but every time I was called in, Bruce wasn't on that day. He was off doing something else. So a lot of the stunts that weren't involving Bruce
Hmm.
were done on an off day for him, where he had the day off and he could go do what he wanted. And they would just schedule the fight or whatever it was, a car chase. I remember we did a car chase over Benedict Canyon, I think it was. But a great car chase, but Bruce wasn't anywhere near the set that day. So I didn't get to work with Bruce, and I always have regretted it.
Now, did they have any other like martial artists on set that would help choreograph out those fight scenes? Because coming from working on westerns, you could choreograph a good fist fight. Did you learn how to do choreograph any martial arts stuff?
Uh, I didn't do martial arts. I don't know why. I just never got into it. But I was never asked to choreograph martial arts, so it worked in my favor. I never had to do it. I just did regular, what I call Pier Sixes
Yeah.
or barroom brawls, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, because well, I mean, going forward, you worked a couple of other biker films. The Savage Seven was one of them, and working with, or what was it like working with Richard Rush multiple times? I mean, you said he was good to work with, and on the first film, but how many films did you end up making with him?
I think I did five for Richard, and we are friends to this day. Richard is 90, 91, somewhere up there. He had a full heart transplant
Oh wow.
over 10 years ago. Yeah, and they're usually not good for any longer than 10 years, but he's gone on much longer. I'm going to say he's had his at least 10 or 12, 12 or 13 years. Uh, he is having some medical problems uh, that they're working on, but other than that, his mind is clear as a bell.
Well, we got to send all our love and support to him as he's getting through this time because I mean, it feels like you get older. It's one or the other, right? Either your mind goes and your body's good, or your body goes and your mind's good.
Right, 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 right.
So this was so actually the Savage Seven. That was one of the movies that was selected by Quentin Tarantino for his first like little film festival he did in '97. Did you guys get to go out to that?
Yes, I love Quentin Tarantino. I loved his film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Did you see that?
I thought it was a fantastic movie.
Oh, good, Jimmy. I did too, and very true to form. I had had lunch with Quentin in Austin. Not lunch, actually, coffee and a dinner roll or something.
Yeah.
He was having lunch. Um, but I joined him and we talked a lot about those early films, and one of them was The Savage Seven, and uh, and how much he loved that film, the work in it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, were you able to do more varieties of stunts just besides the fist fights in that one? Was there any particular stunt that really stood out to Quentin?
Let's see. I can't think of offhand our conversation. It actually ended up we went into the westerns that I doubled Jack on,
Hmm.
and we sat there and did the dialogue from the. Quentin knew every line everyone
Oh
said in the
man.
movies. He just had this fantastic memory for how movies went. So we just sat there and verbally did the whole movie over again, over tea and crumpets.
Oh, so I guess when he was writing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, did he give you calls? Kind of ask you for perspective on that character because the Brad Pitt character was based on some interactions that you had in real life.
Well, myself and a couple other guys, yes. Quentin and I, at that same lunch I was telling you about, we talked about the Spawn Ranch where Charlie Manson hung out. And so that whole scene that takes place at the Spawn Ranch was pretty much verbatim. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So yeah, Quentin knew a lot about the Spawn Ranch from the conversation he and I had, and Charlie Manson. We were shooting a film there. The Spawn Ranch. I don't mean to go on and on, but the Spawn Ranch was this old dilapidated western kind of street
Hmm.
town where a lot of low budget films were shot, especially period pieces because there were no TV antennas, no major highways, nothing around it. So a lot of period pieces were shot there. And Bud Cardos, we were using Bud Cardos is a friend of mine, also a director, good guy.
Yeah.
But we used his dune buggy for the camera car, and the dune buggy broke down. And so I was telling one of the Manson girls used to come out of these shacks, and we just thought they were a bunch of hippies. We didn't know anything about murder or plans or
Right.
crime or anything. But they would come and beg our lunches from us every day. Can I have your sandwich? Can I have your cupcake? Blah, blah, blah. So I asked one of them, I think Patricia Krenwinkel, is there a good mechanic? I need to find a mechanic. She said, we've got a great mechanic, Charlie Manson. I'll go get him. So she went and got Charlie, and Charlie came down. He was just this little guy, about 5'4", 5'3". He didn't seem intimidating at all. He looked like he wasn't wearing a shirt. He was barefoot,
Yeah.
and his pants were dirty. He looked like he just needed a haircut and be sent to bed with a sandwich or something. But he needed $40 up front to work on that dune buggy. So Bud gave him $40, and we came back the next day. The dune buggy had not been fixed. So I said, get me Charlie Manson. They went and got Charlie. And Charlie came over, and I said, Charlie, Bud Cardos is a tough guy. You had better fix that dune buggy, or he's going to give you a new anus. And so Charlie got under it and fixed it right away. They kind of put that in the scene at the Spawn Ranch, how those creepy crawlies came, wandering around. And old George Spahn, I never saw George Spahn in bed
Hmm.
like they had in the film, but he was always sitting at the table right inside his door. And he would be sitting at his table drinking coffee, and there'd be old sandwiches, old cupcake wrappers all the way around, cats and rats everywhere.
Oh
It
man.
was just, not a pleasant situation. But I had no idea that Charlie was ripping him off and doing what stealing dune buggies, doing all the things they were doing.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I don't know, like the more you look into like Charlie Manson as well, the more you just realize how much LSD they are on and just how just completely removed from reality they were. And but I guess that's
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's how he kept his control over people, you know?
yeah, exactly, exactly. You're right. Yeah, he did it. In fact, they were always asking people on the crew if they wanted to come and spend the night. They had these nightly gatherings where Charlie would pontificate and tell them the way of the world, whatever it was. I didn't want to go, but a couple of our actors, Casey Kasem,
Mhm.
who was a pretty well-known DJ, disc jockey, and I forget who else, went, and they said it was just terrible. They turned around and left because all the girls were really scuzzy, and Charlie was just full of bullshit as far as they were concerned. So Jody McRae, Joel McRae's son, he was the other guy that went.
Oh man,
Nice
I
guy.
could, I could just hear like Casey Kasem's like top 40 voice too. You know what I mean? This is bullshit.
Yeah, 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 absolutely,
uh, s-
absolutely moi.
so I mean, I don't know. I guess did he like try and like pimp out the girls to try and get people to join the cult? Like that like essentially what was going on? Because you said that the girls were scuzzy, so there wouldn't
Yeah.
you wouldn't be too interested in him, but
No, that's exactly. He would use the girls to try and lure guys into the cult. And sometimes it worked, but most of the time it didn't because they were just too, once they got there, whoever, I only knew Jody and Casey that went. But there were other people that went and they just couldn't handle Charlie because he was so obviously full of bullshit.
yeah.
And, so who would follow him? You wouldn't. I wouldn't. Uh, but I guess a lot of people did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. If you're doping people up on LSD, you're gonna have your your willpower greatly reduced, and you're going to be outside of your element. You're going to be so much more susceptible to ideas that normally you would just kind of like raise an eyebrow at. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Turbulent times cause people to go into and people. It causes people to seek refuge in ideas that are outside the norm.
Yeah. Good point. You're right.